for things like if you want to become a professional engineer, you need to take some exams for that. And in the last 12 years, we've had a 100% pass rate. And I remember taking that exam. So I feel like our school prepares you very well. I know we have some student panelists who are preparing for that now. So good luck. It's a long test, but you only take it once. You don't have to renew your license or anything like that. The average starting salary is pretty lucrative, over $65,000. And this salary information is usually a couple years delayed. So I know some of my graduates are making closer to $70,000. Our programs are among the elite, so our students are very highly sought after. We're ranked 8th right now by U.S. News and World Reports, and we're always in the top 10. Our graduate programs are also similarly ranked very highly. And the nice thing is that when you go here, if you want to continue, it's easier. There are certain pathways that you can take advantage of, and some of our student panelists can talk about that later. And they're ranked, we just got top 2 for our online programs. So we're also incorporating a lot of more flexible methodologies for learning, which is very handy in the pandemic right now. And so we really try to produce science-based engineers who can tackle the world's challenges, and we're very broad, and you'll see that. So you can go into a lot of application areas like aerospace, biomedical, automotive, product development, energy, micro nanotechnology, and so we'll touch on a few of those. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about our facilities, since we're all online and we don't get to give you a tour in person. I know Missy and I are bummed about that. But if you look in this upper right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see this orange dot. That's the University of Illinois. We're a sister campus to the University of Chicago and University of Springfield. So we have a very broad and wide network. We are renowned for engineering college, where a lot of our departments are highly ranked, and we have a very fantastic and large campus. Right now, we offer 2 main facilities. The Mechanical Engineering Building that will open this fall, 2021, and that will be named in honor of Sidney Liu, who is an alumni. He's a chairman and CEO of Foxconn Interconnect Technology Ltd, and they are a world's top 5 employer. So they hire a lot of people. You may not have heard of them before because they supply a lot of the little connectors that you use every day, the tips of HDMI cords, phone cords, little electronics that go in remotes and cell phones. So they make those. And so that's going to be very exciting to have him here, hopefully for the grand opening. This will feature a student center, many 24/7 maker spaces, state-of-the-art classrooms. There's supposed to even be like a Starbucks in there, so we're all excited about that because, you'll want the caffeine to stay up all night studying. And then I'm just joking. I don't want to scare you yet, right? So here's just one maker space, and I'm just going to show this video. This is a Mnms clean room. And this is pretty unique to mechanical engineering at Illinois. A lot of other mechanical engineering departments do not have their own clean room. So what this means is that if you really like this micro nanotechnology, you can get into these labs and work in them as an undergrad, which is not possible at some other universities. They're more reserved for grad students. So we have upper level coursework you could take here, and we also have a lot of faculty that do research. And so here you would kind of do like photolithography, like etching of silicon wafers. Those are the basis for basically all electronics and running little wires. There's a lot of things with biology that are going on in here. Microfluidic channels are being made, lab chips on or like a cell on a lab chip, so they can look at the innate environment at that small scale. All occurs in this lab. So it's really pretty cool. And if you've ever seen someone go in here, I don't know, you probably can't see the person too well. They're dressed from head to toe and this white suit, 2 layers of gloves, 2 layers of boots, and not to protect you, but to protect what you're working on. Because if a hair or dust falls on it, it could totally render your electronics or microfluidic channel at that scale useless. And so it's just pretty interesting to have this here. And so we wish you were here so you could tour on your own. But hopefully this is close. Okay. So our second great facility is a mechanical engineering laboratory. I feel students spend a lot of their time in this building. It's a $40 million a year operation. The research expenditures are about $25 million a year. And so the other $15 million is really for instructional uses. There's computer labs in there, study spaces. A lot of our design courses take place in there. There's a lot of maker spaces. And this is what the building looks like. And one of those maker spaces is the Ford Rapid Prototyping Lab. And so we're just going to let you meet our machines and the materials. This lab is more for research and maybe some student projects for some upper level coursework. But you could definitely always submit a job online. They'll give you costing right away. And actually, Ralph, the guy that heads this lab, he has produced some really great things with the pandemic and for COVID and that rapid vent, and also some fun things like our alma mater got a helmet when the aerospace department had like their 100th anniversary, and he was in charge of making that. So probably the space that you'll use the most is Innovation Studio. So we have a little video lined up by one of our current students who will actually be here in one of our future webinars.
Welcome to the Innovation Studio at the Granger College of Engineering. The Innovation Studio is an amazing tool for all students across the College of Engineering to come and build and design whatever they want. People use 3D printers, laser cutters, the wood shop, and a variety of other tools to help solve these problems. One innovative use of 3D printing these days is to create prosthetics, because prosthetics often need to be custom built and require really complex geometries that would take a lot of time to design and build. So as you can see here, you can actually create really small joints and really complex features, all with just one machine. The Innovation Studio also features laser cutters and water jet cutters, which allows us to create products geared towards human-centered design, which changes the way we impact, influence, and interact with the world.
So you got to see some of our equipment in motion. There's also like a little soldering station in there, and classes actually utilize that space. And you can use it for personal use. Like I've made little cookie cutters there and stuff like that. So as far as our facilities, right, you may see a little bit more later, but our MEXI faculty are some of the top researchers and instructors around the world. So we have over 80 faculty members right now. They teach classes, they conduct top research, they run their own centers. But in addition to being some of the most highly published and frequently cited researchers, they have won teaching awards, they do outreach in our community and nationwide. And they're leaders in the field who have developed theories that are being utilized in industry all the time. Like Professor Sosi and Stephen Downing created fatigue theory. So, I was surprised. I went to my first job interview and they were asking about that theory. And I'm like, oh, I took the class from the guy that invented it, right? So that's rain flow counting if you want to look into it. They've written textbooks. Software. Professor Philpott had created A Priori, which is a leading costing software in manufacturing. And so you really get to work with all of these great faculty, take classes from them, and maybe even do research in their lab if you really leverage your connections here well. And so because of everything that U of I has to offer, we have a lot of prominent alumni in MEXI. So in the top left, we have Sichi Bud Kanzo. He revolutionized home air conditioning. And I actually just learned yesterday from one of our panelists that the unit ton came from Bud Kanzo. Chuck Taylor, he was an authority on optical stress analysis and actually introduced coherent optics to the field. K.R. Sridhar, he is the founder and CEO of Bloom Energy, and he made the Bloom Box fuel cell energy, which you see him holding in his hand there. Melanie Wise, she's the CEO of Fetch Robotics, and the thing she's sitting on, that helps move containers in manufacturing plants to where the workers are. So, there's a lot of human factors there and safety, and it's also just convenient and super using a lot of AI there. We have a lot of prominent members in academia. So Karen Thole, she's the department head of mechanical engineering at Penn State. Eric Brown, he is the leader of the Explosive Science and Shock Physics Division at Los Alamos Laboratory, and also the Material Science and Radiation and Dynamics Lab. Dan Tortorelli, he's the director of the Center of Design and Optimization at Lawrence Livermore. And then we also have some prominent alumni that are in more non-traditional fields, because being an engineer is just being a problem solver. So it has excellent preparation for medicine, law, financial consulting, and more. You think of it, and we probably have an alumni that does it. So Neil Kashkari, you may have seen him in the news. He was originally coined by the media like the $700 billion man, because he helped pull the U.S. out of a financial crisis in 2007, 2008. And right now he's the Minneapolis Federal Reserve president and is doing similar things to help our economy bounce back from COVID and the effects of the pandemic. Pat Basu here on the upper right, he is the president and CEO of Cancer Treatment Centers of America and co-founder of Doctor on Demand. And then all the way back to the early 1900s, we have prominent alumni. So F.J. Schlink, you may not have heard of him, but he pioneered consumer research and product testing to combat a lot of advertising that was making false claims and causing health issues for people. And so he created Consumers Research, Inc. So we hope that if you come here, you know, the next great alumni could be you. So make sure you always stay connected with us. And so this slide is just to highlight our undergraduate programs. And again, we're mechanical science and engineering because we have two great majors, engineering mechanics, which has a little more science, and mechanical engineering, which is a little more applied. But you can see from this photo, there's roughly 90 credit hours or 75% overlap between these two programs. You can even tailor them to be up to 85% similar. They're so similar you can't actually even dual degree in them. They really kind of differ at the tail end. And so we'll show some of those fine differences, but either major really has very similar career paths and outcomes for our students. So it really makes sense that we have them combined in the same department. So ME curriculum, we'll go through this first and then we'll breeze through EM because it'll be very similar. You have a lot of science foundation. This is chemistry, physics, computer science. You have a lot of math, calculus, differential equations, linear algebra. This is actually so much math you can get a math minor with just 2 extra classes. Basic mechanics, so this is like statics, dynamics, solid mechanics. And the nice thing about this is you don't only learn these topics, you apply them to real world problems and you learn how to model them. So hopefully when you get to industry or you do your own research, you can analyze real world systems. Thermal and fluid sciences, you'll do thermodynamics, fluid, pipe flow projects, and heat transfer. You'll do mechanical systems and controls. So you can learn electricity and electronic circuits and how to make those and wire those and how to control systems. So for example, we have this 2-bar linkage and the student will actuate it with the motor. They programmed all of the math and the dynamics in the background. And the amazing thing is this is able to recover when you trip it. And so this may not look like much, you know, it's a lab on one of your courses, but this is really the basis for, you know, self-balancing, hoverboards, segways, self-driving vehicles, autonomous vehicles. Materials, so this is a very fun class. You get to bend, break, impact, twist, heat, quench. You don't have to put it back together. You do have to write a lab report on it. So sad, but good. It's a good professional development skill. And here's just a video of a tensile test. This is a 3 million pound testing machine on campus. So this is a 5-inch diameter aluminum specimen, and it's going to be pulled and pinched. And aluminum is ductile, so you should be able to see it starting to fail. So kips, that's thousands of pounds. So we're getting close to 1 million pounds here. And you'll see this region necking, so the cross section's getting thinner. So that's not a catastrophic failure. It is, but if you see a brittle failure, it's even more catastrophic. And so maybe you can come see our EOH. We always break concrete cylinders. So then kind of the pinnacle of our curriculum is this design sequence. It's a 5-course linear sequence in ME. ME 170, you sketch, then design for manufacturability, you make. ME 370 and 371, these are not in EM, but they are in ME. Here's where you assemble and assess. And here's last spring's projects. You'll see that student teams made Kinetic Sculptures. And the nice thing about this is every single team got the same exact project, and they all turned out so different. So it's really great to see the creativity we have. We don't want to pump out cookie cutter engineers that do the same thing by the same procedure. Right? And then you get real world experience in our senior design. And both ME and EM students come back in the design sequence and join in on this. And this is a solar powered lemur heating and cooling stand. And you'll see it was designed and actually implemented and is in Florida. So these lemurs are very happy. If you zoom in, they're all smiling. So then your senior year, you have some electives. And in ME, you could do for breadth or you could specialize. So that's really nice. And that's where you would take that like micro, nano class if you want to get into that. You could take internal combustion engines. There's a lot of manufacturing classes and robotics classes. And then all of these being highlighted down here are general education electives. And these are all for breadth. And these are for any major in the College of Engineering. So now to go into the EM curriculum, a lot of this is the same. We have Science Foundation. You see you have an extra semester, right? ME students get to choose chem or physics for an extra semester, and here you do both. Again, you have so much math, you can get a minor with 2 extra courses. You have the same basic mechanics. You have thermal fluids. You do not have heat transfer. You have circuits and controls in your advanced dynamics later and materials, but you do not have signal processing, but instead you have a little bit more computation. So you do continuum mechanics, computational mechanics, and this really allows you to break into the world of simulation, finite element analysis, computational fluid dynamics, and so that's where these advanced mechanics really come in handy. Then we also have a 5-course design sequence, but 2 of the courses are kind of out of sequence. And so you'll see in this TAM 195, you'll kind of meet your cohort of engineering mechanics students. You'll get to build these trusses and test them in the 3 million pound testing machine. And in TAM 252, you also do design projects. And this is an example that was actually done today. And so you don't see the final product of the students, but this is just a demo of a guitar tensioner. And so in this solid mechanics design, the students will be making a hands-free guitar tensioner, which controls the notes.
I think our value about 266 hertz, it might be half that value at 133 or so hertz. So we might want to mark both of those values down.
It might be hard to see it, but in the back you'll see the signal from the string actually being plotted on the computer.
You hear the tone increase?
Okay, and then here are just more examples of senior design projects. This one in the bottom right, this is the world's first ever 3D printed excavator cam that was made a couple of years ago by our students. And then in the top right, this is Patrick Slade, who co-founded Psionic, which is a startup that's still on campus. And if you look them up and you see their prosthetic arm now compared to how it started in senior design, it's incredible. So if you have your own idea and you want to design something, you can always contact our department and you may have the opportunity to use it as your senior design project, and we can give you some students and faculty to help you achieve your goals. And then just a final note, in engineering mechanics, the electives have to be focused. So you get like a secondary field. And so this is kind of geared to make you think, you know, where do you want to go in industry or where do you want to go in grad school? Like, what's your niche? Okay, and so I'm going to hand it over to Missy.
Thank you, Stephanie. Are you able to give me control? I don't think I have it right now for the screen.
Oh.
Go ahead and work on that, and I'll go ahead and start talking. But yeah. Okay, so Stephanie just told you about all of the amazing academic, experiences that you will have if you become a student here. And there's also so many things you can do in terms of extracurriculars or things to enhance your resume and your academic experience. And one of them obviously is research, which she talked a lot about within some of those things. There's amazing research opportunities, world-renowned labs, and there's 3 different ways you can get research. You can do volunteer. So if you want to just join a research group and get some experience there. You can also do it for course credit, anywhere from 1 to 3 credit hours. You can get credit for doing research. And some research positions even have paid positions where you can actually get paid to do research. You can't do both, like get credit and get paid, but depending on the experience available, you can look into that. And that's definitely a great experience for students. Study abroad is also very important and very fun and really something students enjoy doing. It's obviously not required, but it's something that you can do, and it doesn't mean you have to add any additional time to your 4-year curriculum. We work with students all the time and make sure if they do a study abroad program that they can still graduate in the time that they're wanting to do that. There are even some more MEXI specific programs where you'll take more technical inclined courses and you go during your junior year, so you will fulfill like either part of your secondary field if you're an EM or part of your MEXI or technical electives if you're an ME student. And so that's a really great thing that you can get involved in if you're wanting to do that. Obviously, it hasn't been going on the last couple semesters, but we're hoping that's going to start back up very soon. So. And then another amazing part to being an ME student or an EM student is you may find some amazing internships and co-ops. So we have career fairs every semester. They've been virtual the last couple semesters, but they're usually in person. And you can find some great internships or co-ops. Co-ops can be during the academic year where you go in fall or spring, or even over the summer, and then internships are over the summer. You can make, some pretty good money doing that, and it's also a great experience on your resume. A lot of students even go on to then work full-time for those companies that they've interned or done a co-op with. There's Fortune 100 employers and also startups where you can do internships, and some of the icons listed on the right are just a small portion. There's literally hundreds of them that you can join and enjoy. So that's a really good experience. And I'm trying to see if I can move to the next slide because I'm not, for some reason, it's not letting me. Stephanie, are you able to advance it? It says I have control, but there we go. Sorry about that. Thank you. And then another way you can get involved is become involved in one of the RSOs or registered student organizations. There are hundreds across campus, but some of the ones on the screen are more related to mechanical science and engineering. And those are, you can see we have Alumni Motorsports, Alumni Formula Electric, Off-Road Alumni, Solar Car, iRobotics, and then the Super Mileage. Those are obviously just some of the car teams, but there's also robotics, there's Rube Goldberg, ASME, Pi Tau Sigma, and all of those societies you can do different things where you can do projects, engineering open house, they go on competitions and do different things. You can also do leadership with any of these societies if you're wanting to get involved in that, which is great for your resume. And you can also alter that experience each semester. So maybe one semester you have more time to do a leadership position, but then maybe the next semester your classes are a little too demanding and you don't have time. You can certainly alter that based on like what what time you have available for that semester. So in the bottom right corner is a slide that I'm going to play in just a second. It's our Engineering Student Projects Lab, and it's where a lot of these teams on your screen here do their projects. So I'm going to play this for you right now so you can take a peek. You can kind of see in there's different, it's kind of small, but hopefully you can see there's different spaces for each of the cars and the teams to come in and work, and they share tools, and there's a project manager, his name is Bruce Floxbart, who is in there kind of helping the teams and working with them. You have to take safety classes before you can go in there, and it's very interdisciplinary as well. So there's students from MEXI, students from ECE, students from CS, etc. And so our next slide I'm going to show you is actually, you can see one of our teams on the road at a competition. This is our Baja Team, or Off-Road Alumni. So we're going to show you what they actually do when they're out on a competition. Let's see. For maneuverability, they got 7th, sales and design 27th, and overall 36th, and that was out of about 100 teams. So our teams that go to these competitions and all of the car groups usually place very well. So we're really proud of them. They work really hard. And you can actually get course credit if you join ME 199. That's a 1 credit hour course. If you take it 3 consecutive semesters in a row, you can actually get course credit for being in one of these clubs, because you actually do a lot of work, and we definitely like to recognize that. So, Stephanie, are you able to advance? Okay. So here are some of our other student organizations that I mentioned before. There is ASME, there's SHIP, which is Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. There is Society for Engineering Mechanics, ASHRAE, which is our Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers. And then we also have SWE, which is our Society of Women Engineers, and then NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers. And then we also have our Hyperloop team. So like I mentioned, we're just showing you some of the more engineering focused groups, but there's hundreds of student societies on campus, and we encourage you to join whichever ones are of interest to you and that you feel is going to help enrich your experience at Illinois. And then as far as, like, a lot of students want to ask what your opportunities are for graduate school, whether it be if you're wanting to go into industry or academia, we have a program called the Mnms program. And that is somewhat like a 4+1 program where you can get your master's in mechanical engineering in 5 years. It's a 1-year degree. It's technically like a 2 semesters and a summer. You can go fully online or in person. And that program is designed, it's non-thesis based, and it's designed for students who want to go into industry. But then we have our standard research and academia, master's and PhD programs in mechanical engineering, theoretical and applied mechanics, and then a PhD in both as well. Those are ranked number 6. They're amazing programs, and then our online program is ranked number 2. So there's amazing opportunities for students to progress in their academics after your traditional Bachelor of Science degree. And we have Sam, he's going to talk to you a little bit after this, and he's one of our MN students, and he can answer any questions you have specifically about that program. So basically, we're trying to let you know that we can do the impossible every day. Mechanical engineering and mechanical science and engineering is a very broad-based major where, there's virtually so many opportunities. And we'd love to answer any questions that you have from us. Stephanie and I will be here for a few more minutes if you want to speak up and ask a question or put something in the chat. Otherwise, what we're going to do after this is have our student panel introduce themselves, and then you can ask them any questions that you have directly to the students. And Stephanie and I will get off so you can ask, anything you want. Is there anyone that wanted to speak up and ask a question or put something in the chat?
So it looks like somebody asked about, can they go to med school if they're in engineering mechanics or mechanical engineering? And you definitely can. We have a dedicated pre-med advisor, and she's actually a director of a branch at the Carle College of Medicine here. And that's the world's first engineering-based college of medicine. So I think, you're definitely well prepared. There's also minors. You could do a minor in bioengineering, but, it may not be necessary as long as you follow our pre-med track. Definitely pre-med, like pre-law, and a lot of professional programs require some extra coursework, but you're going to have to do that no matter whether you're in engineering or biology or chemistry. But yeah, we have a ton of faculty who do bioengineering application, and we have a lot of very unique coursework to offer at the junior and senior level for that as well.
Yes, a very, very popular special topics class related to biology, for sure.
Yeah, and if you've seen the news, we're just leading the way with a lot of COVID testing. We have a lot of faculty in our department doing that. So if that really interests you, and medical devices too interest you, there's a lot of that here.
Oh, so someone had asked what the opportunities for accelerated master's program was, and that actually is the Mnms program. So that is the master's in mechanical engineering, and that's basically it's like a 4+1 program, and that is basically it's 2.5 semesters, I guess. So usually if you go one full year, if you're going full time, it's a fall, a spring, and a summer semester basically for getting your master's, and it's a non-thesis based, so it's specifically designed for students who want to go into industry. Okay, so I'm going to move it to our next screen. So here are pictures of our student panelists, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and they are going to be here to answer any specific questions you have. I'm going to go ahead and put Stephanie, our undergrad email in here. So actually, sorry, it's on the screen.
I just did it.
Thank you. Yeah, so if you guys do have any questions for Stephanie and I, please feel free to reach out to us anytime. We check this email account constantly throughout the day. So it's usually Stephanie and I who are checking it all the time. So we will see your message. So please know that you can reach out to us if you have any questions. We really hope you select Illinois. We're excited you guys can be with us tonight, and we appreciate listening to our presentation.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
All right, I'm going to jump off. It was nice to not really see you guys very much, but it was good to talk with you.
Great. I'm just making everyone co-host, and then I will jump off too. Bye, Missy.
Bye, guys.
Okay, so I think, Samrat, I'm making you the host.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Hello, I'm Samrat. I'm helping out the Mackie Advising Office, so I'll just kind of be here as kind of a moderator. You guys can ask questions. I know there's some questions already in chat. And obviously, if you are not comfortable with speaking or turning on video, you can just type in chat. But if you want to unmute yourself and just say something, ask a question, you can do that too. We have people from ME and EM as well. I'm an MA student, as Stephanie said, so I'm a grad student, and I think all the others are undergrad, but they are they take part in different RSOs and bunch of activities, so they should be able to help you out. Yeah.
Go for it, Spencer. All right, I'll introduce myself then. I'm John. I'm an undergraduate student. I'm a senior, and I'm also additionally doing a double E minor So it's not a ton of additional work. You just take a couple of extra classes, but that's my background.
My name is Spencer. I'm an EM major. I haven't decided a minor or anything. Neither have I decided a specialty field in the subset of engineering mechanics, but I really like what I do and I would be happy to answer any questions about EM. I'm also an SEM, which is a really important RSO for engineering mechanics majors, and we're really involved.
I'm Kieran. I'm a junior in mechanical engineering, and I have a stat minor. It's kind of similar to math where you only need a couple more classes. And like John, where I'm in ASME, John is the president. I'm the internal vice president.
So there are a couple of questions. Were you able to use a lot of my AP credits? Definitely. I think I got like 20 of them. 20 credits came from AP. It's very easy the college is very welcoming to taking in AP credits.
Yeah, a big part of it is just getting out of like the your gen eds and also some of the just initial classes, which is nice.
I think someone also mentioned how easy is it to get two majors earlier on, something like that. I think I know a couple of people who have done it. They definitely also though came in with a lot of AP credit ahead of time because it would be very difficult, depending on the two majors that you're choosing to go into. A lot of the courses overlap, but if you're doing a completely different field, it will be a little bit more difficult, but it's definitely doable provided that, you're going to be working a lot and you already came in with some additional credit.
Go ahead.
I don't think the freshman engineers have specific dorms. There are definitely a lot more who go to ISR because it's closer to the engineering stuff, but it's definitely not like engineers only go here. It's not separated.
To answer Hayden's question, how much do you normally have to hang out with friends? In the sense that you're intentionally hanging out, just chilling, not a ton, unless you're in an RSO. But you get to communicate with a lot of people in these types of classes in like a team projects class or the Society of Engineering Mechanics. You really do. And usually it's just networking and talking and relaxing. So you definitely do get to meet people, but you will do a lot of studying on the other hand.
Someone asked what is an RSO. I think Spencer, you can take that.
It's a student organization that's on the campus, so it's generally just another word for a club that's recognized by the university.
Someone asked about switching over to ME if you're admitted in EM, and when exactly you can do that. I'm not completely sure. I can get back to you on that if you know, but it can be done, and I think if you have an answer, John, you can go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely try doing it a little earlier on. I think that, same with like undecided engineers. I don't know if anyone here is undecided engineer, but after like that first semester you come in freshman year, that's sort of the time where you apply to transfer into the mechanical engineering program, and that includes people in EM. It's not impossible, but it's obviously important to keep your grades up and to sort of stay involved with activities in the department to make your case for why you want to go into the mechanical engineering department instead of if you were to transfer. But it's not impossible, but that's an available option for you.
To Emma's point, yeah, you can minor in almost any type of engineering, as far as I'm aware. Technically, Chem E is not part of the College of Engineering, but you can still minor in that. You can even minor in any other department. And as like someone here's Karen, I think is minoring in math, so you can minor in philosophy or any other areas, or really any department you want.
Yeah, I'd say that the most common ones that people minor in are electrical, math, some sort of math, or computer science, because a lot of those are sort of interconnected with mechanical engineering. And a lot of the skills you learn in mechanical engineering relate to those specific minors.
Have you heard anything about the international minor in engineering? I actually have not. I'm sorry, I can't answer this question right now, but I will make a note and I'll try to get back to you.
So it says, Andrew asked about internships or co-ops. I could talk briefly about that. I don't know anything about co-ops because I never done a co-op, but I know that a lot of companies do like students who are doing co-ops, because the longer that a company has you for, like usually the co-ops will last like 6 months, the more they get to develop you and the more that you're going to want to stay with that company. And so a lot of people, let's say you come in with enough credit to graduate in 3.5 semesters, maybe you'll take an extra semester and do a co-op once. You'll be making money and you're going to get experience with the company on your resume. So I know a lot of people do that. With regards to internships, I'd say that the College of Engineering as a whole is very helpful in trying to get you employed. Usually at the Fall Career Fair, there are over 400 companies that come to talk, and they're trying to recruit. And I know I found one of my internships from the career fair, which is very large. Especially, that's just for engineering, right? It's like there's different career fairs, and the engineering career fair has 400 companies, which is really crazy. So you definitely can get a lot of experience from those internships or co-ops that if you choose to do those during your 4 years at Illinois.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. Oh, if you want to
go ahead. Go, Sam. You go, Sam.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to add that there's also a research park on campus that has smaller offices, smaller teams of many companies like Caterpillar's here. I think it's a big one. John Deere's here. Yahoo. So they will also take students on for internships, even during the semester sometimes, not particularly co-ops. So you're studying and you're working for them. And that, as John said, is also kind of a relationship between you and the company. So they can kind of mentor you over like 1, even 2 semesters, a whole year before you join them. So even if you can jump in early, they actually have their own separate career fair as well. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities definitely on campus for co-ops, internships, and other kinds of work.
For study abroad, I think it's actually pretty common. There's like a pretty big program. It's not really even a situation where you need to be like ahead in your classes to take part. It's just if there's a program wherever you want to go, and if the classes that they're offering meet up with your schedule, then it's definitely a great opportunity.
I'd like to answer how's the weather in Urbana-Champaign? There is like some kind of confrontation. It is definitely not Texas, or at least not Texas as of recent. It can get cold sometimes, but it's not like life as we know it is done. It's definitely going to take a while. I knew people from California that bought their first coat for the first time, and they got to see snow for the first time. So in that, you get a lot of experience that you otherwise would have not have gotten in Texas. It isn't that bad, and we definitely are prepared to handle cold. Like if you're
spring and fall are beautiful.
Yeah,
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, I'll just say, I mean, I come from India. It's a state called Rajasthan, so it is a desert. I come from the desert. First time, well, not the first time I saw snow, but first time I lived for a long time in a place that had snow. So it's cold, but as Spencer said, like I think the major point here is that this place is prepared at Champaign, and the campus itself is very well prepared. All the buses and all the buildings are heated and everything works. There's no real disruption to the flow of life when winter hits, except like maybe one very, very cold day where they'll tell you don't go out too much. And also the public transport and the bus system is very convenient here, so you will not have to really trudge through the snow or like in the cold or anything like that.
Definitely one of the best bus systems.
Yeah.
The buses are the cleanest buses I've ever seen in my life. It's very nice, especially in the winter in school.
Not to mention the amount of bike infrastructure that exists. That's also really top class. And you don't have to take a bus.
I think I know someone who started classes in the summer ahead of coming to the school as a freshman.
There is a summer session. It is limited, however. They do not offer all the courses, and they may or may not offer the course you can take or you might want to take in the summer. So, that would be something you'd have to check, but it is possible. And as Aylar is asking about hands-on or theoretical, it is, I would say, in ME, I'm an ME student. After, I think Stephanie showed you the plan, after ME 170, which is only theoretical, actually, at least it was when I took it, every of the design courses, so there's 4 of those, you have to build something. Like at the end of the semester, you have to come up and you have to show something you built, and it has to work to some spec. So yeah, they're very hands-on. The Innovation Studio, the video there wasn't just one guy who knows how to do it. Like you probably like point to any guy in Meki, he knows how to use all those machines. We use them regularly as part of these design courses, and there are also many other courses. I think in EC as well. Like I took a robotics class. They're very hands-on. You get to go program a Puma robot and do fun stuff like some puzzle and stuff like that. So it's very hands-on. There are also theoretical classes, but most of the core classes I'd say in ME are fairly hands-on, and you get to work with make stuff.
For the camaraderie, I would say, especially like pre-COVID, the MEL that they showed you, the Mechanical Engineering Laboratory, was like the most vibrant place. Yeah, it's John's background. It was like basically everyone in Mexi would like go there, just like do work, just like hang out. You'd like see everyone there. There was always like RSOs doing stuff there, people working on projects and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely, I'd say it's very strong.
Yeah, in comparison to a lot of the other classes and departments that I've taken classes in, the mechanical engineering department, because there's so many group projects, you're always going to be working in teams. You already know everyone, and so the camaraderie is definitely like there's 1,000 students in this department, right? You think that's a lot, but then you already know everyone because you've seen them consistently. You're like Sharon was talking about, there are 4, at least for mechanical engineering, there's 4 design courses where you're going to be working in hands-on building things. And so I would say like the camaraderie is very good, especially junior, senior year when things get really difficult.
Yeah, in ME at least, and some of the other engineering classes, of course, like courses, department, you have to work in teams often. In ME, almost all the higher end classes, you have to form a team for your lab. In some other departments, not so much. I think CS is almost all do your own thing, submit your own homework. And I do know some people who, at the end of it, kind of are thrown into a group and are not as comfortable. But Meki students are used to it, like basically from the get-go. So it definitely does help. It teaches you how to work in a team with a team and get stuff done with a team.
Dual credit. Is dual credit like, I actually don't know what this is. Is this like accepting credit from other schools?
I think it's like taking college courses when you're like in high school.
Yeah, if you're referring to those, there is a way, but it's a pre-selected list. Like not everything that you do will get transferred. They only take some of them. I would advise you to email the email ID that Stephanie left here, and ask specifically if yours will be able to make it through, to have a better idea. It's hard to answer probably.
In terms of like,
it is possible.
Dual credit can also come from community colleges, and the surrounding community colleges are very heavy on dual credit. That includes like Parkland, which is a community college that's on or around our campus. And then there's also community colleges in the Chicagoland area that are very, very receptive to dual credit. I usually take a summer course now and then just to get that dual credit. And you can find out if we accept it on some website. I'll have to find that website for you.
So to answer Emma's question, it is very easy to talk to TAs and professors. And one of the reasons why is there's so many students here at Illinois, there's so many students in this department that they have more TAs, they have more professors, and they have more office hours for you to be able to speak to them. Honestly, like every other day, there will be some sort of a time where you'll be able to get assistance from them, and they're usually pretty good at teaching. And you're able to usually get a lot of good advice and help on work that you're trying to get done. So.
And someone asked about how easy it is to get into classes. If they fill up quickly, they do fill up the popular ones, especially if you're trying to get a CS minor. Yeah, it's tough. But the critical path for your degree is usually safe. Like it is very, I don't think I've ever heard a case where if you're like, you can't register for a course and now you can't graduate. Because they do have some, like, if you email them, sometimes they let you in. And for some of the high volume classes that they know everyone has to take, they're just going to be filled. They kind of have a system in place. If your ID is odd, you take it on these semesters. If it's even, you take it on these semesters to kind of guarantee that people have a spot. Otherwise, some classes, I know senior design, everyone wants to take it in their last semester right before they graduate so they can underload. It's like one of the classes they can do, like they have more free time to work on it, but yeah, sometimes you get unlucky, you have to take it not in the last semester, but yeah, stuff like that. They will usually ensure that you get into a course you really want for your major and to graduate. Yes, for courses you want to take on your own and for minors, it can be slightly difficult. And yeah, that's as much as I can say, I guess. Also for meeting people from other departments, you meet everyone. Almost all engineering departments are represented in some of the early classes. So she talked about the foundational math and science courses. Those are common for almost all engineering majors. So in those classes, you'll have people from all the majors, like basically all the college of engineering majors. So you'll get to interact with them, work with them, maybe even in the labs. And even when you go on and do maybe more specialized classes, there is still a good amount of overlap, especially in, I'd say, ECE, mechanical, aerodynamics, and civil engineering. There's quite a bit of overlap between the classes, electives and non-electives as well. But yeah, and if any of you wanted to chime in and say something.
I should say that, like, also when talking about meeting other majors for departments, the University of Illinois is really specific in our layout. There is an entirely different section for engineers than there is for people that are in more of like LAS or chemistry. And we also have our own library, which is, I believe, the largest academic engineering library in the US or the world. And that's where a lot of the engineer majors study. So all those engineering majors are really compact into one area of the quad and one area of study. In that you do meet a lot of people and those early classes, like Sam said.
What about other majors outside of engineering? That's a good question. So it is true that, like, at Illinois, we have 2 quads of just engineering buildings. And then we have all of the rest of them south of those buildings. And I will say that I made some friends outside of engineering, and it's sort of like a mix. You'll have like a ton of engineering friends, like both either mechanical or some of the other ones, and you'll also meet people at the dorms that you'll become friends with freshman year. And honestly, not everyone that you'll meet is an engineer, right? You'll become friends with them throughout your time here, so it's not like completely segregated. So
yeah, and yeah, I met a lot of my friends in the dorms, and the dorms. I think someone asked this already, but yeah, they're not like there's no distinction between like this dorm's for engineers or this dorm's for this kind of major. Like they're all mixed. So yeah, you get to meet a lot of people from different backgrounds in the dorms. That's always nice. What were your deciding factors in choosing UIUC? I'll speak a small bit about my own. Anyone else can also add. For me, it was mostly I wanted to go to a smaller college town rather than a big city. The other colleges I got accepted to were in big cities. I didn't really want to do that, but that was just my personal preference. And also, they have like the mechanical engineering department here is very strong, very research based. So that's always a plus.
For me, part of it I was in state, so that's always nice. But I'd say the main factor, because I was kind of the opposite. I kind of prefer a city environment, but the main factor for me was just like the mechanical engineering department is just so good, and yeah, honestly, and once I got here, it is like a college town, but I really enjoy it, and it's like a great campus, and there's like always stuff to do and stuff. So, yeah.
I also am not, like Sam, I'm not a big fan of learning in a city particular, as much as I love them. But in Urbana and Champaign, you get to realize that we are both simultaneously in the middle of nowhere and yet a very urban environment. Just by zoning laws alone, it is all like apartment housing or it's some skyscraper. And in that, you have like such an odd environment of really high infrastructure, but a real collection to like a heartland of America, you know? And it's just something that's really unique.
Yeah, I chose Illinois. So I went on like a tour of a bunch of different engineering colleges, and I came here and the people were just so incredibly enthusiastic, and they like showed us all of the engineering facilities, and I just thought it was all so cool. I was like, I'd really like to go here specifically for that reason, is that the people were very enthusiastic about what they were doing. I don't know anything about UT Austin.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know too much about UT Austin, but it's kind of, you can't do that now. But if you walk down down the engineering quad, if you were here, you'd see some plaques, and I think all of us have probably seen it, of small, I'd say small, but stuff that has been developed here or has been invented. And some of those are MRIs, transistors, and the presentation already covered cooling as we know it, HVAC, and many of the foundational principles behind it, why you buy a compressor for an AC and it comes in tons. All that has its foundation at U of I here. So this is really like, you know, like a place where a lot of many foundational fundamental innovations are made. LEDs, yeah, talk about that. So this really is, and like when we say research oriented, it's not like, I say sometimes there's a disconnect between research and what you, yeah, what you see in like science. But here, like you can kind of see behind the mirror in a sense. You can go into MEL, you can talk to professors who's doing research. Like you see a cool robotics video online. Like here you can go, you can talk to a professor, you can probably work in lab. I actually did work in a robotics lab. And you can really see what's, you know, the cutting edge of technology. It's here. It's in MEL. So I'd say that. Not to take away anything from UT Austin, but it's starting.
And like the sheer size of this department, like it allows you so many opportunities. Like I've done undergraduate research with 2 different professors, right? And you know how easy it was? I simply emailed them, asked to like talk to me, I gave them my resume, and then I was able to try that out, right? There's I don't know how many faculty, there's a ton of faculty, right? So there's so many opportunities to work for people, do research. Like I said before, the engineering career fairs are massive. So there's a lot of good opportunities to learn, to work with other people, to do research, to do really anything that you want, including RSOs. I don't remember if you guys saw all that stuff. There were like 6 or 7 different car teams, right? There's a large plethora of professional organizations. And so the sheer size of all these different things that you can pick and choose. And if you don't like it, you go to move something to something else, right? I started out with going into 5 different RSOs and then stuck with 2 because I like those 2 the most. So you really, because of how many opportunities there are and how large it is, you really have a good chance of finding what you like and sort of sticking to that.
Just like totally random, just because we're kind of dry for questions. A really nice part about the University of Illinois, or at least MEXI, is that we have a brand new building. There's a lot of people that are really, they're kind of torn because they know they're not going to witness this massive investment in infrastructure and new buildings, and everybody's really excited.
Again, working in a machine shop and doing all this stuff.
Joshua asked, how are the class sizes? And really, it depends on what point of time you're in when you're getting your degree. Early on, the classes will actually be quite large. This could be like anywhere from 70 to 200 people. But as you progress through your degree, they will get progressively smaller. And that's because these base classes have many different fields of engineers, and that reason they're larger because it's just a much more general topic. But as you go slower into more specific topics that have to do with your major in particular, you'll see a much more community style class.
Also, especially for like the larger classes, they'll often have like discussion sections where you're put in a much smaller, like maybe like 15 to 20 people sized classroom, just like help you, and you're with the TA and stuff like that. So it's always good. Yes, I've played intramural soccer like every semester I was here. It's very fun.
I was on the dodgeball intramural league, and we won the championships.
Nice.
Well, yeah, if anyone else has any other questions, you can ask them. Otherwise, probably in about a couple minutes, I'll end this call. And obviously, if you have any follow-up questions or something we were not able to answer, please don't hesitate to email the email ID provided earlier. I'll just copy and paste it real quick. And like, we'll reply to you pretty quick. I will probably see it, so I will make sure to reply.
Yeah, they respond within like minutes. I always love emailing them because they're so quick to answer questions.
Yeah, all the staff here are really nice, really helpful. Everyone in the department they really want to help you.
That honestly, like, is the biggest thing. It's like everyone's so nice, and it's so easy to talk to people. That's why, like, I really enjoy. Like, I wish I could redo this again and start freshman year because everyone's just so nice. It's just so fun, like, to be here.
That's another thing I think is kind of unique about our department is that they're so involved with the students, and they interact with us, and they ask us for feedback, and they tell us like what's going on with them. So it's like a really great relationship.
Yeah, I'd like to add, like, when you get into these, like, as you progress through your year with RSOs, you will literally be in positions where you're like literally drinking with your professor. Like, it's actually the weirdest thing is how social and how they involve themselves with these different social clubs. Like, a social club will have a bar crawl and, example, Society of Engineering Mechanics, and professors will be invited, they'll be wearing some merch, and we just get to hang out with them. And it's just super, super fun.
Do you live in Illinois? Because it's cheaper, right? If you're in Illinois, unless you're in Indiana. Oh, okay. Well, that was my deciding factor because I live in Illinois. But I'd also say, like, I don't know whether or not, like, if you've already all applied, I don't actually remember, but if you're in the mechanical engineering program, you're in the mechanical engineering program. And that was something that I actually enjoyed. Like, some people go to Purdue, you have to, like, apply it later on. But if you're already in it, it's so relaxing because you don't have to worry about anything. And you're just smooth sailing.
Yeah. One of the stats there were retention rate. And if you look at the retention rate for UIUC versus Purdue, you'll see there's a decent difference here. And it's because of this, I think, like, Purdue does, like, they're a good program, but they do have a small problem with retention. So people will drop out, and as John pointed out, like, like initially this idea of, oh, I can go anywhere might sound appealing to you, but it can lead to a lot of stress because it's not easy to get into many of these popular majors, and it's just hard. I think, especially mechanical or electrical, CS, the more common ones, it's just very hard. And I know many people even here who came in undeclared engineering or just engineering. And yeah, you need to have like 4.0, even then it's not really guaranteed. It's just tough. It's a big load off of you if, you're in ME and you can concentrate on just doing what you want to do.
And the additional thing to that is, like, if you're not sure whether or not you want to, like, to go into, like, a specific industry, the mechanical engineering field has every single industry. I've worked in 3 different industries, completely different, and I'm in mechanical engineering, and that's, like, the best thing is that maybe you're not sure if you want to go into energy and, like, renewable energy, or maybe you want to go to manufacturing. You can do completely different things as a part of mechanical engineering. That's why it's also really cool. It's like be able to do that.
Yeah, sometimes the clout of just having a degree from here can earn you a pretty high job. As they were talking about the presentation, the person that helped save the economy during the 2008 crash, in addition, I remember I was looking at where people ended up. Somebody ended up on the board of Abercrombie. That has nothing to do with the major, but the point is that the fact that you made it through this program, it really shows that you're really built different,
Okay, it looks like people asked the question they want to ask. So thank you everyone for coming here. Stay safe, and we hope that you come here in fall.